He is one of the greatest players in the history of the NBA, a Hall of Famer, a top 50 all-time player. I say top 15. My good friend Rick Barry is back from gallivanting all around the planet, fishing some of the most exotic fish in the oceans, and we're going to talk some Warriors basketball. It's Rick Barry. I'm Cyrus Saatsaz. This is the Golden Daze.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Woo! Let's go!
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. 'Cause I get what I want and I like what I see. If you got
You want answers! I want the truth! You can't handle the truth!
I hope that soundbite came through during the Open. Hall of Famer, one of the greatest players in the history of the game, Rick Barry. You can follow him on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. You can follow me, Cyrus Saatsaz, on Threads and Instagram at Dog Wild. Over on Twitter, I'm at Surf Journalist. Before we talk Warriors basketball, because there's a great Stephen Curry soundbite we're going to play, there's some new news, sorry for the redundancy there, pertaining to prospective Warriors trades that we're going to talk about. But first things first, the folks who support us, who pay the bills, leading off with Dr. Tom Rosanelli, hair restoration specialist. And look, gentlemen, we're all going to get to that point, at least most of us. Why not make yourself look good and feel good with the services of the hair restoration specialist, Dr. Tom Rosanelli, with over 10,000 successful hair transplant procedures done? Tom Rosanelli, MD, has provided state-of-the-art surgical and medical hair restoration since 1986. Rick, you're a former patient. Any testimonial you like to provide for our title sponsor?
No, I did stuff for Tom for a long time. He's great. I needed him when I first decided to do it years ago. You know how technology changes, right? So, I mean, they went from black and white TVs and rabbit ears, to cable, and then to color, and we're going way back. These folks don't know what it was, black and white and rabbit ears on the top of your TV. And same thing with hair. I mean, back in those days, they did the major plug stuff. I mean, my gosh, the technology is so more sophisticated now, and Dr. Rosanelli does a fabulous, fabulous job. He's really good at what he does. And if you are losing your hair and you're concerned about the way that you look and you don't want to necessarily be walking around chrome-domed, and a couple of my boys don't mind it, Drew and John, they don't care. I mean, if that's fine. But I had a head that didn't look that good, I don't think, if I looked bald. So I had a little, you have a little, feeling about yourself looking good. You want to look a little better. Tom's the guy to go see. He does a great job. Good guy, too.
He is, absolutely. And again, on Yelp, he has over 40 reviews, an average rating of 4.6. On Google, an average rating, not an average, he has a rating of 5.0. That's perfect. Call 415-931-9881 or visit rosanelli.com, not just for your hair needs, but also your facial care needs. A beautiful head of hair awaits you. Today's episode is also brought to you by BetAnySports. All you have to do is click on that QR code in the top right of the screen, right there, just above Rick's head. If you're watching this on YouTube, if you're listening on the podcast, click the link. Thank you, sir, in our YouTube or podcast description for a 30% welcome bonus on your initial deposit. That's BetAnySports, and I should have displayed the graphic there as well. So make sure you do that. And last but not least are the folks over at BetOnline. Where's my copy? There it is. Sorry. The world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting in 2025. BetOnline. The game starts here. Rick, it is great to see you. It's been way too long. I've missed you, sir. The Warriors right now, they're at the 40-game mark. We're not officially, but we're just a game away from the midway point of the NBA season. It's to me the symbol of how fast time flies. I cannot believe we're at the midway point. It's kind of weird that the All-Star game is almost a month away still. Usually All-Star games are supposed to be at the midway point, but it's more like the 2/3 point. The Warriors are 20-20, 500. What is your opinion of the Golden State Warriors here at the midway point or damn near close?
Well, they're kind of an enigma right now. I mean, you're trying to figure out what they are. It's been a Jekyll and Hyde season. They started out, as Dr. Jekyll, and they turned into Mr. Hyde, and they seem to be finding their way again. But even with all the adversity that's taken place and the injuries that they've had and the unknowns and the disappointments and some of the heartbreak losses, which they almost had one last night. They're still at 2020. I mean, it's half the season. I mean, it's like, you don't pick a horse where he is halfway through the race. Okay. Right. It's a horse race halfway through the race. It isn't necessarily the horse in the lead isn't necessarily the one that comes across the finish line first. I mean, that's just reality, folks. And everybody goes through difficult times. Their time has been a little bit more difficult than we would like to have seen. We had high expectations with the start of the season, and things just kind of went to hell in a handbasket for a while there, but not to the point where it's a total disaster. I mean, just look and see. I mean, come on. The game last night, who would have thought that they would have jumped out to a lead like that on the road? That was just kind of crazy what happened in the first
24
quarter.
points. 24,
yeah. And got back to the point that the game was tied, and they got and late in the game, thank God Steph came through with that big three in the corner. But anyway, they won. That's the most important thing. The bottom line is not how do you win, did you win? And they did. They got a victory. They needed that victory, I think. And I think that was a good confidence boost for them. They still got Kaminga's out. They still had other issues to try to figure out. Schroeder's trying to find his way. Schroeder, I mean, there's just so many things going on. And I agree with Steph. Did you play this whole comment there? Let's play his comment because I want people to hear this. I think it's important that you hear what Steph has to say.
Agreed. And what Rick's referring to more specifically, following last night's game, if you live in the San Francisco Bay Area, which our data indicates a lot of you do, rightfully so, the Golden State Warriors are based here. We here in the San Francisco Bay Area were forced to watch the regional broadcast. The game was available on both NBC Sports Bay Area, which, side note, a lot of people in Bay Area are unhappy because NBC's parent company is Comcast, who also owns Xfinity. And without any notice, they suddenly jacked up the prices. So for everybody in the Bay Area who wanted to watch the Warriors, they suddenly experienced a blackout. If you weren't paying like for some, high-end subscription service that you now have to pay, it's like an extra $10 or $20 a month. But regardless, if you were paying for that, you still couldn't see the ESPN feed. And ESPN's coverage of the game was blacked out, so that the regional network could get some extra eyes on it. They do this from time to time. Sometimes TNT's live broadcasts are blacked out. Point is, nobody in the Bay Area saw this because Stephen Curry was interviewed by ESPN after the game. I believe the local NBC Sports Bay Area coverage featured an interview, I believe, with Andrew Wiggins. I can't remember who they actually interviewed after the game. Regardless, this might be new for a lot of you, and it's very interesting content from Mr. Stephen Curry. So let's take a listen to what Rick was alluding to. This was Stephen Curry right after the game talking about his own comments that he said 2 days earlier regarding the team being happy with what they have, regarding not mortgaging the future. He definitely followed up on those comments with these words right here.
All the Twitter fingers who's got deals that we need to make can kind of just shut up a little bit and let us figure this thing out. Like we know we can be competitive. We showed that toughness tonight. Obviously, every team is trying to find ways to get better, and for us, we've been great for a very long time. This is just a unique year where we have to be able to stay relevant and give ourselves a chance and just have some life in a playoff series. And we have a whole lot of confidence that we can, beat anybody. So, that's it.
That's it. Rick, your thoughts, sir?
I'm right on it with him. I mean, that I've said this before. All these guys, you guys have something better in your life to do than to come up with all these ridiculous trade things and this guy here and that guy there and trying to figure out. There's so much involved in even thinking about a trade with the salary cap and all the other issues. And it's all speculation. It's a waste of time. Why would you want to waste time speculating about a trade? Oh, if this happened, how would this? What did you think? Who gives a rat's you know what about that? I mean, if the trade comes through, then let's talk about it because it's just talk. What's going to happen is going to be done by the front office of the Golden State Warriors. John Lever Jr. I mean, like, he's going to do that. He's going to check it out. They're going to talk to the owners. They're going to figure out what they can and they can't do. I'm sure that they probably are consulting even with somebody like Steph and Draymond about certain personnel moves. So if it happens, then we can have a reasonably, intelligent conversation about it and evaluate it. But I'm not going to waste my time evaluating something that probably has no chance in hell of ever happening. So he's right. Sit back, relax. There's still plenty of time left. You got half a season to go, and it's the team that's playing well come April. How are they playing in April? Are they in position to make the playoffs? And crazy things happen. We know that. I mean, and the reason I speak so adamantly about it is I firsthand know that. I mean, come on. What we were able to pull off in 75, a team that wasn't even supposed to be a playoff team. And then we were a big joke and we still wound up playing well. At the end, we had troubles. We struggled a little bit. But let's see what the Warriors are doing come the second half of the season. Let's just hope that they play well enough to make sure they get a playoff spot, not the play-in. Hopefully they get to 8 or below that. But everybody else has to go through it. And they had a game they could have won up in Toronto. Okay, you thought they could have won that game as well. That hurt. But look what happened to Boston in Toronto.
Very next game. Exactly right.
I mean, come on. Boston got their butts kicked. They played they played terrible. Their 2 stars were awful from 3-point range and from the free throw line, 3 for 5, 1 for 2. I mean, they didn't do anything. So anyway, that's basketball. I told you I wouldn't ever bet a penny on a basketball game.
And today's show brought to you by BetOnline.
I wouldn't bet one. I mean, it's what BetOnline. I wouldn't bet a penny because I know it's so difficult. And so that's what's so interesting. People are going to take a chance, and that's why it's called gambling, folks. The word is gambling.
Yes,
You're
sir.
gambling your money, thinking that you can figure out what's there. And they give you a lot of help. They give you a lot of stuff, but you never, ever know. Then the ones that have a winning percentage when you gamble, you're doing a hell of a job. I mean, because you don't know who would have picked yesterday. Anybody in their right mind, would you have taken the points and bet on Toronto against Boston in the game?
Hell no. There are certain games you have to be completely deranged and a degenerate to bet on. That would be one case, sir.
Yeah, I mean, so that's the part of it. That's what makes it interesting. And so it's nice that they have that as a diversion in doing it. I knew years ago, I used to know there was a lady that I knew. She used to bet on baseball games, so many baseball games all the time. It's so unpredictable. So, hey, if you want to do it, have a good time, pick the right, hey, you got a good sponsor who's there for doing it. You like gambling? Go ahead, go for it.
Well, in this modern era, Rick, it funds so much of the content in sports. It's always been a part of sports. I mean, Pete Rose, you've crossed paths with him. Rest in peace. I mean, he literally got kicked out of the game for that. I mean, it's the stock market is gambling. Would you not agree with that, Rick?
Yeah, I mean, it's all a gamble. I mean, you just don't know what's going to happen. Here's the thing. Just do it everything in moderation. Don't bet what you can't afford to lose. That's the biggest thing. Okay.
Yes.
I tell you where I like to bet. I love to go to the racetrack, and I'd love to be able to go and when you go in there and have a lunch and sit down in a nice place, have a nice lunch, take a look, read. I know how to read the forum as far as go ahead looking at the horses and decide who you want to bet on, and that's a nice day. And you take enough money, figuring, okay, I'm taking this. I'm probably count on losing it. And if I come back with anything close to what I had, and I made a few, but it was a great day. It was entertainment. Yes. I enjoyed it. I really do enjoy that. And I think it's great if you get excitement out of having some money on it. Just think about if you had the game last night for the Warriors. I mean, come on. They're up there. You're up 24 in the first quarter. You're thinking really good. And then all of a sudden it gets down to the point where I don't even know what the point spread was, but whoever was 7. Betting on that game had to be dying.
It was Minnesota -7 and lines like that. I bet on the Warriors because I knew the Warriors this season played well against Minnesota, but you're absolutely right. Rick,
you had to be dying. Well, you still were in good shape because they had 7 points, so you were in good shape even when they got back. So you were still feeling okay.
I was fine from the get-go. But
fine. But the people who were just there rooting for them to win were fine. It was.
But Rick, you bring up a very smart point here, which is that if you're going to gamble, do it responsibly, please. I know this is a Captain Obvious statement. It should go without saying, but do it responsibly. Like when I play, I'm never like betting more than I can afford to lose. I think that's the general rule you should abide by. You talk about the track, by the way. I lived in San Diego, more specifically Encinitas, for 4 years. I had a great time down there those 4 years, and I'm sure you're very familiar with that area. Steve Kerr calls the San Diego area, more specifically Del Mar, his home in the summer. And the Del Mar racetrack you're never going to experience another setting where you have a combination of the debutantes, right? The uppity, the snobs of society mixed in with the most degenerate human beings on the planet, and they're copacetic. It's incredible, Rick.
Oh no, it's really a terrific experience. I love it because I love watching the horses run, and it's cool to see. And
yes,
and I've known a lot of famous jockeys and other people who own horses, and to me that's a fun, that's a day I can enjoy going there and doing it. And that's the one time that I will bet and do something, because otherwise, if I can't control my destiny when I'm doing something in betting and have some opportunity for me to have an impact on the outcome, that's hard for me to do, because I don't like not having control of something, or at least have a chance that I can do something. But what can you do? All you can do is be, come on, come on, run. I mean, that's all you can do.
My philosophy with horse racing, before we move on, is always bet on the jockey, not the horse. Like the jockey, to me, a good jockey, they practically communicate with those horses, and if you look at the track records of the jockeys, the ones that are winning routinely, like, they keep doing it. They're consistent at it. So that's always my philosophy.
They're not going to take rides on bad horses.
And great point. And that too. Absolutely right. By the way, before we resume talking about
basketball, you can have, don't bet on the bad jockey,
Exactly.
They're in a bad streak or something, so, have fun with it, but let's not panic about the Warriors at this stage right now. So I'm not happy with what's happening. But better to get it out of the way now than to have them going well than have something like what has happened in the last month or so to be happening in March and April.
And we have some news here I'm going to drop in just a second pertaining to trades. There's actually a new player out there that has not been previously associated with the Warriors in terms of trade speculation. This is an actual report I'm going to reveal in just a moment. But before we get to that, just because, again, this doesn't exist. This program without the audience, we're nothing, literally. And I can't appreciate every single one of you enough. Armando Lara in the chat wanted me to ask you a question, sir, not that one, which is Pistol Pete, a grossly, in my opinion, underrated player in the NBA. He was pulling stuff out of his bag of tricks in the 70s that even folks today can't do. But did he wear a hairpiece? Armando Lara's curious. Do you know if he... Pistol Pete Maravich.
Not that I know of. I mean, I went on a tour with him after we retired. We had a great time. I got to really know Pete well. And then he was very helpful. I told him about my son's scooter, and he went down there, and he was very helpful to my son's scooter. And they had developed a really nice relationship. And then, unfortunately, Pete, passed away. And again, another one of those things that was missed diagnostically from the medical standpoint. That could have, been around a lot longer. So very sad, but terrific guy. I would have loved to have played with Pete, because I knew if you got open, Pete will find a way to get the ball to you. That's the kind of player that he was. I just don't think Pete was ever on the right team. I mean, a lot has to do with your personnel. Yes. I mean, like Steph Curry, as great as Steph Curry is, if he didn't have the personnel that he had on his team, he not necessarily would have won a bunch of championships and done and be able to accomplish what he accomplished. Being in the right place at the right time, surrounded by the right people. It comes down, there's a lot of it's luck. I mean, and hope that the team does a good job of picking the other personnel. The same thing with with any player. I mean, seriously. I mean, if Magic had gone someplace, he's going to help make his team better. But if he didn't have the personnel that he had around him, he wouldn't have won all those championships. Neither would have Bill Russell. I mean, you don't work by yourself in a team sport, especially in basketball.
Absolutely correct, sir. No, you're 100% right. Rick, what was your reaction? I don't know if you saw it. You were on the other side of the hemisphere from where a lot of us are.
I was down under. I was in New Zealand and Australia.
Right, exactly. Incredible, as you should be. Globe-trotting, fishing, having the time of your life. But were you keeping up with the NBA? Did you see that following the Raptors' loss when Stephen Curry made those comments about not wanting to mortgage the future? A lot of people were freaking out about that. I was on the program echoing Ramona Shelburne's comments the very next day on ESPN, where she said that Steph made those comments largely as a message to other NBA teams to not try and fleece them, to not pretend that the Warriors are desperate enough to give too much away and be, blustered by a one-sided trade. What was your reaction when you first saw that, if you saw that?
An intelligent statement. You can't give away the future. It takes time to rebuild.
Yeah.
It really does. That's why Jerry West was such a great general manager when he was there. And the same thing that R.C. Buford, who was the GM down at San Antonio, to keep them where they were. They couldn't win back-to-back titles, but they'd win, they'd lose, they'd win. But they had a team that was really competitive for a long time. And then you're going to have a time when things go down, and then you try. But you don't want to get to the point that you just, like you say, give up the future at all. It takes you forever to get back into the mix again. And that's a lot of teams out there fall into that category.
Absolutely. You're right. And in hindsight, especially with the follow-up comments, you see now that Steph and Kerr, like they're not okay being average at best. They want to win. And there are a lot of folks panicked out there about the Warriors. Friendly reminder, if the season ended today, they would be in the play-in. So it's not like they're so far out of this that it's, the season's over. I'm sorry. I didn't mean I was
still got half the season to go. Hopefully they'll get their act together and really start playing their best basketball and figure out what they're doing, come April. I mean, that's what it is. You want to be playing well going into the playoffs.
Yes.
There's been a lot of teams have played great, done well, and all of a sudden they hit that little down period at the wrong time. Next thing you know, you're not even in the playoffs, or you get in the playoffs and you get eliminated fairly quickly. So
absolutely right. Now, go ahead, sir.
I said that's the nature of sports. It's just the way that it is. I mean, nothing is set in stone for sure. I mean, that's why they have betting. Right.
Absolutely. Well, Rick, let me ask you this before I talk about the latest speculation out there pertaining to potential trade pieces for the Warriors. I'm curious to know, first of all, the Warriors have this young piece named Quinten Post, who is playing lights out basketball. And I just closed the tab that had his stats, but his stats in Santa Cruz are incredible. In your opinion, Rick, like what goes into deciding whether or not, I don't know if they even had a minor leagues when you played, but this kid seems like he's ready to be promoted, to get some serious minutes with the Warriors. Like, what are your thoughts, if any? I mean, maybe you don't have an opinion on this, but what are your thoughts on maybe keeping someone down there too long when he could be helping the Warriors now? He played 4 years in college.
Well, my thing is that you can only get so good sitting and watching.
Yes.
And you can only improve so much playing now in the minor leagues. And if you don't bring somebody up to give him an opportunity to see how he fits in with the team, playing with the big boys, so to speak, of what value can he be later in the season if you bring him up? In other words, and the same thing, we've talked about this before over the years. If you feel confident enough to draft somebody, play him.
Yes.
Because if you don't play him, he's going to be a rookie.
Yes.
The whole season. You give him some freaking experience. Get him in as often as you possibly can to get some experience and get some confidence in himself to play at that level. Certainly you go down there and, hey, especially if he's down playing there and playing at a high level, bring him up and give him a shot when you can, just to see what he can do. I mean, so you know what you've got, and you have a better understanding of who he is, how he can perform. I agree with you. You can keep somebody down there too long, because the whole bottom line of it is that even some of the guys that you have on your roster, they have so many players now. What, they got 17 or 18 guys? 15 on the active roster that they have, and then they're down. You got the two-way guys or three. It's crazy.
It is.
So I don't understand if you're going to have that many people on your roster and doing stuff, well, then by God, those other guys that are on the roster should be down playing in your G League team.
And here's some
the other guys there for practice. Figure if I'm going to go 10 deep, if I'm not, and I know Steve was going early in the year, he was going 12 and 13 deep.
13, so, 13
Yeah, I mean, so the other guys there, I mean, why would you want to have a guy pay him all that money? You should have him playing because he's not going to get better sitting on the bench.
Rick, these are his numbers. Let me know what you think about this. Quinten Post is averaging, playing for the Santa Cruz Warriors right now, 25 points a game. He's averaging 12.8 rebounds per game. He's shooting I'm not making this up, 47.2% from deep, 59.2% from the field. That's what he's posting in Santa Cruz. Those are incredible numbers, I think. I don't know what do you think?
Outstanding numbers. I mean, just outstanding
numbers. Yeah, I want to see it.
Numbers. So, yeah, I mean, especially with the team struggling, you would think you might want to give a guy like that a shot. I don't know. I'm not the one making the decision.
I know, but I was just curious to know, like, I value your opinion so much, and for simple things like that, I'm just curious to know what you think. Sometimes, you don't have an opinion.
What you see, like I remember one time when I was coaching with Clifford Ray in the minor leagues, and he was my my assistant coach. Basically, he was like a head coach with me. And he said, Rick, he said, B, he calls me B. He said, B, can I bring somebody into camp that he worked with? I said, sure. I respect him. I said, he's not going to ask to bring somebody in if he didn't think he had any decent. Well, he brought a guy in, just did a deal. I kept the guy on the team.
Yeah, exactly.
I kept him on the team because I liked what I saw. And if you like what you see, then you got to give the guy a chance. I mean, like why waste all that money and effort on somebody, especially if they're showing you so many things? Those numbers are crazy. I haven't seen them, so I may.
Yeah, we talked about that just last night. I looked it up because he had his last game. I think he had like 30 points. He shot 50% from deep. He's doing a fantastic job, and we're going to talk about all these trades.
How's his defense?
Well, that's a good question. And again, it's hard to find analytics for that. So I've asked around, right? Like I asked Kevin Dana, who's the play-by-play broadcaster of the Santa Cruz Warriors, for example, and his response was everything he's seeing in terms of the eye test defensively is great. What he told me, all that this kid needs right now is experience. He just needs to play at the NBA level, and we shall see. But one last question, Rick, before we go into all these names, by the way, in terms of just getting your perspective on things. The Warriors started this season 12-3. You have some folks that, and I'm getting pushbacks from some of my fellow media colleagues, that maybe that was a fluky start. I don't agree with that sentiment. And just to add to this, Rick, before we hear from you, in the history of the NBA, in terms of teams starting a season 12-3, there's never been an instance of a single team. I think it's happened 140 times. Not once has a team started 12-3 and finished below 500. Only one of those teams ended up missing the playoffs, and that must have been a very strong season. My point is, I don't think that was a fluke. I think that 12-3 start showed enough that the Warriors can be legitimate this season. What are your thoughts on that? Was it a fluke?
No. Listen, you don't go 12-3 because it was a fluke. I mean, everybody's out there trying to, just like Steph said, we have confidence. That's the biggest thing. He used my favorite word. I'd say you have to be great, and that's why Steph Curry is great.
Yes.
Because trust me, he's got confidence in himself and his abilities. Okay? We believe that we can beat anybody. Okay? That's what you have to feel. You have to have that mentality. And he has it, and he's confident that his team, and they believe that they can do that. So, yes, they have a team that can beat somebody. They're having troubles, a little difficulties. People haven't totally found themselves. They got a lot of young guys there trying to meld in. I don't know. It's a tough situation. I think it becomes more difficult with the more players you have on your roster, to be honest with you. I mean, especially if there's not a big difference between the talent of the players after the first 5. If you've got 10 more, 12 more, 13 more guys, 13 more guys, you have those 3, basically you got 2 more teams and some extras to try to figure out who's going to be there. Man, I don't envy Steve for having to figure out what the heck to do, because you want to talk about having to make major decisions as to who you use and trying to figure it out. They just look all the different starting lineups they had even at the beginning of the season, and they were pulling things off. So yeah, it's tough. It really is difficult, and I think that's the case with the Warriors. They just have so much good talent, and it's just a matter of who's going to step up amongst those guys. But it's hard to step up and be able to play at your best when you're not getting a chance to play. I mean, to show what you can do. It's
Jonathan Kaminga agrees with you, sir. Just so you know.
Well, yeah, I understand that, and it's true. I mean, when you don't get the minutes, it's hard. It's very difficult.
Yes.
I don't envy Steve for what he's had to do and the personnel decisions that he's had to make. However, I will say this about Kaminga. You also have to you got to take responsibility yourself.
Yeah.
I mean, you're getting 26 minutes or more in a game. You should be able to put some decent numbers up there, and you shouldn't be a bad free throw shooter, especially a guy like that in his position. He drives and goes to that. He's going to get to the line. You better damn make yourself an 80% or better free throw shooter. I mean,
well, Rick, I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And the reason why I'm sorry if I'm interrupting here, but I just wanted to bring up the free throw thing before I forget. It's not just Kaminga this season. The Warriors are dead last in the NBA in free throw shooting. I'm looking at the numbers just last night, for example. The Warriors from the free throw line last night was good. Okay, so last night was not a good example. I apologize. But routinely, Trace Jackson Davis, Kevon Looney, Wiggins has been okay this year, actually. Dennis Schroeder has been hit or miss from the free. In your opinion, is it just reps? Like, how can a team collectively improve their free throw shooting? Because even without Kaminga, they're still struggling.
Go out and practice and practice and practice and practice and get to the point that he has confidence in himself and his ability to make the shots. And I think one of the things when I practiced and did stuff, I would make guys have to shoot things in game type situations. And I say, go and shoot 25 free throws after practice. That's usually the thing to have. What the hell good is that? That's not a game-like situation. Go out and shoot 25 free throws standing there and shooting 25. What the hell does that mean? So I shoot 25. Doesn't matter how many I make. I'm going over there, make 100 before you leave. You want to get a guy to focus? They want to get out of practice, right? You can't leave until you make 100 free throws. Make.
Yeah.
Which means what? You're going to focus. You're going to be trying really hard to make them because why? You want to get the hell out of there.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you're feeling the pressure at that point.
And that's what I'm saying. So when you practice and you're doing this, you sprint, you stop, boom, get to the free throw line. Have to shoot when you're tired, when you've been playing hard. You got to get to the line. So there's things you can do to try to help them with that. The other thing is make sure every player has a routine, that he always does the same thing before he shoots every free throw in practice or in the game. Why? Because if you get to the line, let's say you get fouled, end of the game, no time on the clock, you're down 1. Okay? You want to talk about a situation that could become critical and might be pressure if you didn't have confidence? Can't get any bigger than that. You're down 1. You got 2 free throws. You can tie the game and win the game if you make your free throws. The last thing you want to be thinking about in that situation is, oh boy, I got to make these. Here's what happens. You're so programmed because you have your routine. The moment the official hands you the ball, your focus becomes not that I have to make these free throws. It's what? My routine.
Mm-hmm.
You do your routine that you have done thousands and thousands of times, and your focus is on the routine, not the situation that exists when you're taking them, because it should be the same whether it's the first shot, the first free throw in the game, or the last free throw in the game.
Agreed. And I'm looking at the Warriors on the year in terms of free throw shooting. Only 3 players are shooting above 80% this year. Quinten Post in just one game. Stephen Curry, obviously, who's shooting 93.7%. And then Buddy.
Hey, they're the worst in the league. They got the best free throw shooter in the league.
And then Buddy Hield is shooting 90.9%. And then there's the drop off. Andrew Wiggins, 79.2. Schroeder, 77.8. Pajemski, 73.3. Lindy Waters, 72.7. Moody, 72.7. Pat Spencer, you would think he would be better, 70. Kyle Anderson, 66.7. Kaminga, whose career average is around 73 this year, is shooting 63.9%. And then Trace Jackson Davis, 61.8. Draymond Green, 61.5. Oh, and it gets worse. Gary Payton II, 58.8. Kevon Looney, 42.2. The team collectively is shooting 71.4% from the free throw line. I'm sure you must have loved hearing all those numbers.
Inexcusable. Every player should be ashamed of himself if he can't shoot 80% from the free throw line. Think about it. It's the only part of the game where nobody's trying to stop you. That's exactly the same every single time you do it. Same distance, same size basket, same size ball. Have your routine and practice. If a team shoots 80% or more from the free throw line as a team, they are going to win a significant extra number of basketball games than they would with shooting 70%.
It's incredible how many games the free throw shooting has cost the Warriors this year. Literally, like, because of the missed free throws, that margin was the difference. It's absurd.
And here's the difference. They usually were a very good free throw shooting team. Okay. Now they're a bad free throw shooting team, and it's cost them. So just take everything into fact. More than likely, instead of 20 and 20, right? 20 and 20, they could easily be, let's say, 25 and 15.
Easily. And that's why I'm not waving a white flag like a lot of people do. I think there's still something here this season, and we're not even at the halfway point yet. By the way, what are your thoughts, Rick, on Jonathan Kaminga? Because in the month of December, it was the first time we had a sample size of a month or something substantial like that, where he averaged 30 or more minutes in a game. He averaged 31.1 minutes per game in the month of December, and in those 31.1 minutes per game, he averaged 21 points per game flat, 6.3 rebounds per game, shot 35.4% from the three-point line, shot 46.4% from the field. Your thoughts, sir?
He got
Is that
minutes.
consistent?
Yes, those are numbers that are fine. You know, a 35 is good. That's over 50% from twos. I'm saying the break-off point for three-point shooting is 30%. You know, that's the low. If you can't shoot 30%, you have no business ever taking one. 33 is 50% from twos. How many players even shoot 50% from twos?
Not many.
33 is a great one. If he's shooting 35, he's above, you know, he's fine. And that guy, we'd love to do it. He should probably want to strive to get the 40. I know I would want to do that if I was playing today. I would want to be a 40% shooter. But 33 is just fine. And the other numbers, 45 from twos and stuff, that's okay. You know, sure, you might be, that's fine. And 6 rebounds a game is great. And 21 points, nice.
Yes.
I mean, so he was showing you a little bit of what he had the potential of doing. I said, oh, wow, looks like he's finally coming around. Steve's giving him the extra minutes. Think about what he might be able to do and what those numbers could be if he played 36 minutes a game or 38 minutes.
That's been my point.
So, and now here's the thing. Unfortunately, I hope it's not super serious that he'll get over his ankle. He'll get himself back again. You know, so he's not going to be totally worn out because he wouldn't have had played all of the games. So shouldn't be worry about that. And so get himself back. But the thing is he should be so much more confident now in himself. And hopefully Steve feels better about him knowing that he's going to be able to produce. And that's a good thing. I just like to see what's his free throw percentage.
Oh, well, the free throw percentage is not good. Well, in the month of December, it was at 66.7. So
that's the one area. He's a liability at that point, especially a guy who attacks the basket like he does, who's going to get to the free throw line. He has got to take pride. In fact, he can't go out and run and do it. He can shoot free throws. Get on the freaking line and shoot. And shoot and shoot and shoot and make sure that you get yourself that you feel more confident at the free throw line. Then you will be the chance to be the player that everybody's hoping you have the opportunity to become. But at 60-something% from the free throw line, you are not the player that you need to be. And don't expect that you should get $35 million a year if you can't make 80% from the free throw line.
He's probably going to still get that offer, but I hear what you're saying. I agree with you. And last year he shot 70.
I mean, there's no way in the world that I, as an owner of a team, if you're shooting 60-something% from the free throw line, don't ask me for $35 freaking million.
And, Kaminga last year shot 75% from the.
It's embarrassing.
It is. I agree. No, I'm not disagreeing at all.
Then free throw shooting.
I know.
So, and they pay guys Shaq $35 million doing some shit. How do you give that much money to somebody who's a liability to your freaking team at times? Seriously.
I agree. I'm with you. It's absurd.
General manager And when is some coach or some owner going to take responsibility to tell a guy, look, you're my employee. You need to shoot free throws underhanded to get better.
Yeah.
I guarantee you that I can take Jonathan Kaminga if he would take the time and the effort and put it in and become a better free throw shooter. If he would switch, if he's a 66 something percent free throw shooter, I guarantee you if he will take the time and put the effort forth and learn the proper technique, that he could become a much better free throw shooter. I had George Johnson, the one guy that did it, to my teammate, who was 50% around there. George shot 80%, got to 80% from the free throw line. Okay, so just imagine how much better you become if you're an 80% free throw shooter as opposed to 60% free throw shooter.
I will never understand, Rick, why teams are not
I'll
never understand why teams are not pursuing you to hire you to be
because they're afraid they won't force the players to do it. The only guy that takes on himself to say that was, I heard that Don Nelson told Andres Biedrins, who had maybe the worst free throw percentage ever in the history of the game at like 18 or 19% one season, and said
his final season,
you're going to have to you're going to learn how to shoot on the hand free throws. He was going to make him learn it, tell him that he had to, and that's what you should do. You're an employee, for God's sake. Where in the real world can an employee tell the boss, I'm not going to do what you want me to do? What?
It's crazy. No, you're absolutely right. And Shyam Natarajan, I hope I pronounced your name right, saying Shaquille O'Neal is being like, what'd you say, Mr. Berry? And I highlighted that because you literally, Rick, were turned down by Shaquille O'Neal to coach his free throw shooting because he didn't want to do the granny style, correct?
He said, I'd rather shoot zero than shoot underhanded. He said, I'm a hip-hop guy. He says, Rick, I'm a hip-hop kind of guy. It'd be bad for my image. Well, wait a second. It might be bad for your image if you did it, but it'd be good for your team. And you're getting paid $30-something million. So don't you think that the owner should say, or the general manager, look, we're paying you. You need to do what we want you to do because you are our employee.
Yeah.
Seriously. Where in the world? So you're doing the show, you're working here and doing, you got a boss. The guy tells you on the show, hey, you need to do this. You go, I'm not going to do that. I said, okay, well then go find another freaking job.
Dude, there was a clip, by the way. I posted this on, I think on my Twitter account. I'll post it on Threads too. It was an awesome clip, Rick, and I'd love to get your feedback on it. I can't play the visual of it. YouTube will demonetize this episode, but the clip is Jonathan Kaminga coaching Stephen Curry during a timeout, drawing up a play for him. There was another player in the mix too. I don't know if it was GP2 or Trace Jackson. I think it was Trace Jackson Davis. And they're sitting there getting coached by Jonathan Kaminga, a 22-year-old. What's your reaction just hearing that? I love this clip. I will post it, I promise, on my social media.
Well, here's the thing. I think it's great if somebody feels strongly enough that they want to input something to the team that they think would be helpful. Why not take a look at it?
Yeah.
I mean, sure. Why not take a look at it? I remember you said that one time. I remember one time they were playing something. They had a clip of doing something when they were practicing, and my son got in the huddle when they're doing something with the team he was playing on. This was 5-on-5, not 3-on-3. And he said he drew something up, and I saw the clip. And they ran. He said it. Blah blah blah. They did it. Somebody had it. They went out. They ran the play, and it worked. And here's the thing. Any play that you're doing it, just remember this. Most plays don't actually wind up if it's a number of passes and things that have to do, because you always go into it, even though you have it designed and you know where everybody's supposed to be, what they're supposed to do, you always play with this one caveat. Take what the defense gives you.
Mm-hmm.
Because
yes,
something else,
yes,
that's why the more you put people in a position to utilize them as screens, the more you cut, the more you move, the more you pass the ball, the more opportunities will present themselves, because the defense is going to make some mistakes and you capitalize on those mistakes. That's why the Warriors have been so good, because the style of basketball that they play is conducive for that. And if you have intelligent players who understand the game and they play that way, you're going to win a lot of games. And that's why the Warriors have had the kind of success they have, because of the style of basketball. They play basketball the way the game was designed to be played. that when they got in trouble, even when they had KD here, and as great as he was, they got in trouble sometimes because they relied too much on him. When they stopped the passing, the moving, and the cutting, hey, it works if he's on his game, but if he's having a bad game and you're relying on that, you're not going to get those easy other baskets you would get if you played the other style.
Going back to Kaminga real fast here, and I'll be done talking about him after this, but he hurt his ankle on January 4th. In a game against the Grizzlies, and they said it would be 3 weeks before they reevaluate him, meaning that reevaluation date will be on Monday, January 27th, if I have my math.
That's a bad sprain. If it's 3 weeks if they said then that it's 3 weeks before evaluation, he got a bad sprain. Trust me, I've been there.
I was just saying, like someone in the chat saying, Fazzy, he's blown away that you're on the show, Rick, and I just love that when you get that love. You deserve it.
Here's the thing. I'm serious about this, and I hope somebody will say something to him. He needs to get out there and have somebody there working with him, even to the point of practice sometime. Maybe even Steph go over there, watch his form and do something, and stay on him. What you're doing wrong. Because if you look and see, he's obviously doing something technically wrong to shoot that poorly.
Yeah.
Okay?
No, I agree.
And so you got to go and evaluate, and this is the time. As long as he can get up and be on that thing and not have to do that kind of work, shooting his free throw has nothing to do. He should be able to go out and shoot free throws without it impacting his form at all.
Agreed.
It should be able to be that way.
Yeah.
And if it is, this is a great time for him to take it upon himself to work on his free throws.
100% agree. And the great news is he's out of the walking boot. He's now walking just with regular shoes. January 27th is when we're going to find out more information, maybe sooner, but usually when they give you that date, like 3 weeks for a reevaluation, you don't really hear much until then. So January 27th, hopefully we'll get more news about Jonathan Kaminga. And Jill Espina in the chat real fast saying that she tried the underhanded shot, Rick, and the left and right are not equal balanced. It was hard for her. Any reaction to that?
That's the reason why he's doing the wrong form. Because that's what I shot it. And I did it, and here's why I made the change, because I agree that you get it to the right form, but you're not doing it because if you're doing the wrong form, you're getting wrist and everything involved. It's easy to do a little bit more at the left or a little bit more at the right, which means your shot's going to go a little left, a little bit right. Here's the thing about shooting, whether you're shooting two hands underhand or whether you're shooting overhand. Any player, when he shoots, watch carefully in games. If the player is missing left or right, he has a technical flaw in his shooting style. Great shooters rarely ever miss left or right.
There you go. And that's coming from one of the greatest shooters ever.
No, I wasn't one of the greatest shooters. I was a great free throw shooter, but I wasn't one of the greatest. I was one of the great scorers. But
you're being humble. You're being humble.
But the thing is, my form, I worked on it and got better and better at it. But just watch very carefully. Like you watch LeBron during his career. LeBron had a lot of misses left and right because your elbows out or you're hitting the ball properly, you're not holding it properly. Trust me, watch and see. Most players, even like as great a player as Kobe was, who I just love Kobe, and it's sad just even to bring his name up.
I know,
and then,
it is.
And even Ray Allen, who was unbelievable. Both of those players were a little flat on their shots. And as great as they were, they would have been even better if they shot the ball up a little bit more because they would have opened the basket and had a bigger target to shoot at. So as great as they were, they had flaws in their shot. And so this is a great opportunity for Kaminga to go out and let even Steph watch him and just stay on him. No, your elbows out, this is that, whatever it may be, and work on it, and spend, because he has nothing else to do other than his rehab stuff that he's doing. He can't go out and do the other thing.
Right. What else are you going to do?
All in his hands, and he should be spending as much time as he can working on getting more confidence in his free throw form.
Yes, sir. Armando Lara in the chat. I'm going to bring him on the show soon because he's writing about the Warriors, saying that Kaminga simplified his routine the last week of December and that the results started to show. So let's hope that continues. Rick, Michael Scotto, a reporter with Hoops Hype, a fun website that talks a lot of speculation in the NBA, reported, and this is new information, that the Golden State Warriors are involved. Clearly, they're talking to a lot of teams. Don't be surprised if the trade does happen. But these are the names that he dropped more specifically. Two of the names we've all heard a lot. Nikola Vucevic of the Chicago Bulls, Jonas Valanciunas of the Washington Wizards, John Collins of the Utah Jazz, fairly new. That name started to float around about a week ago. And the new name that Michael Scotto dropped in terms of the Warriors having discussions about this player is Robert Williams III of the Portland Trailblazers, a very physical, strong, a big dude. What's your reaction, Rick, to those four names? Any of them excite you?
No, here's the thing. I don't watch as carefully as I would if I were broadcasting and doing things. These are
Neither
not
does
players,
Barkley. You're okay.
they're not players that I'm super familiar with as to just how good they are and what their skill level is. So I don't know. I absolutely don't know. And again, it's a waste of freaking time. What difference does it make? I mean, the bottom line is they're going to do what they think is best. If they think one of these guys can help them, great. And so if that's the case, then you watch, you analyze, take a serious look at it, and you can have an intelligent discussion to say whether or not you think he's going to fit in and be a good addition to the team or not. And so that's up to Mike Dunleavy Jr. and and the team and Joe and Peter, whoever the hell whatever they want to do. I don't know. I absolutely, truly don't know. The bottom line is the Warriors showed that they have the ability to be a very competitive basketball team with the start of this season and what happened. And Jonathan Kaminga is already shown that he's better now than he was at the start of the season. And if he comes back and continues to stay at least at the level he was before his ankle injury with improving his free throw shooting, which would be a big factor.
Yes,
and the
sir.
other guys work on their free throw shooting, and the team as a whole takes that to heart and works their butts off to get themselves to be a 75% to 80% free throw shooting team, they're going to be able to win enough games to get in the playoffs, and who the heck knows what happens. And if they think they can bring somebody in who's going to fit, and maybe your guy from the G League team, maybe he's going to get a shot to try it and see what he can do. I don't even know because I don't watch that stuff. How tall is he?
Right.
How
Well,
tall
I
is
mean,
he?
like I said, he's played one
tall
game
is
in the
he?
NBA. I don't think many people know. It's why
How tall is the G League guy?
7 feet.
That's what I thought. He was a big.
Yeah, he is.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So if a guy's that big and he can shoot. I don't know what they're thinking, but they don't have anybody other. Well, Trace is nice now. He blocks and does a nice job at the rim. I like what he does there. So I don't know what else do they want to have. I mean, with all these other players, if you got a guy that can stretch the floor,
Exactly.
I mean, you know what that means for Kaminga?
And Steph.
And
I mean,
Steph?
among many players. I mean, I just
Steph,
the idea of a stretch.
The floor. If you
Yes.
got a guy who can shoot that kind of
Yes.
percentage 3-point range, you're opening up the court for Kaminga to have a freaking field day.
Yeah.
I mean, because this guy goes to the basket with a vengeance. I mean, great athleticism, incredible finisher. And if he's got an open floor and doesn't have to worry about the big being there, or if the big does hang in there and you take your other guy and put him out and kick him the ball, I mean, I hope the thing is if he's a good passer as well. I mean, hell, he could be a little small version of the Joker by taking people away from the basket so they have to guard him, and then he can make the passes and open things up. I don't know. I'm gonna have to figure a way to see one of those games and watch him because I like a big that can do that, those kind of numbers.
Like I said, and the only way we're ever going to know for sure, Rick, is to actually see him play. And I think that's why my curiosity is really driving whatever rhetoric I'm
Is
sorry.
he athletic? Can he run?
Ish. That's the reason why he was a second round pick.
But the Joker is ish.
Exactly. He was a second round pick for that reason. Yeah. So, but I want to see it. And hopefully, in the one game he played in, he looked good. I hope we get some more minutes from him. The last piece of news I'll drop to finish up the show here, and I brought this up last night, but this information is pivotal, I think, in terms of why Stephen Curry made the comments he did following that Raptors loss, why Steve Kerr echoed similar sentiments. According to The Athletic, the Washington Wizards, the joke of the NBA, the next opponent of the Golden State Warriors, they're playing Saturday night in San Francisco, reportedly will not accept anything less than a first-round draft pick for Jonas Valanciunas. If that is true, there is a staring contest going on between the Warriors and these other trade partners who are indeed trying to get way too much. Jonas Valanciunas is not worth a first-round pick. I don't blame the Warriors for suddenly balking at all this and going, no. Any final reaction from you, sir, about the fact that the Wizards are trying to fleece teams for Jonas Valanciunas?
Well, that's part of the give and take of professional sports is,
Yep.
the ideal thing is to make a deal that's good for both teams
Yeah.
and fair for both teams. And and I agree with Steph, to go and mortgage the future doesn't make any sense whatsoever. To give a first round pick for somebody of that stature, it doesn't make any sense. But the other one you mentioned, Vucevic, they tried to get him last year. I mean, in the off season, I think.
He would be
I
amazing.
think I think his game would be again, but again, he's another one that can stretch it a little bit as well. I mean,
Yes,
so
sir.
that's what I liked about him, and we had talked about that. And so, maybe they already got somebody in house, and so that's why give that guy a shot
Yeah.
to see whether or not. Well, wait a second, maybe he can do a little bit of what the other guy does, and so we don't need to do that. We got a guy already.
Yes, sir.
We can do that.
I want to see some Quinn, but I want to see something. It just kills me watching these games when it seems so obvious, at least to me, that if they just had some more size out there, just a little adjustment, you would not see the Warriors getting beat like this, man.
One last thing.
Please.
There is no way that it's a fluke that somebody can go out and score 30 points and average double-digit rebounds if he can't play.
Bravo.
I
Well
mean, you
said.
can't. You can't do that unless you have some talent.
Agreed. Wholeheartedly agree. Rick, you've got some companies. Look, we obviously have Dr. Rosanelli sponsoring us. Your weekly appearances on here. He's mentioned every day. Dr. Tom Rosanelli, hair restoration specialist. Call 415-931-9881 or visit rosanelli.com for your hair and facial care needs. Rick, you also have some other companies that I believe you represent and have some vested interest in, right? Medicinal
I
Leaf.
played pickleball this morning, and the guy came in. Rick, I got those ghost sleeves. They're great. I love. Everybody has ever gotten these things. Love them. We have more guys coming in from baseball, from football, from volleyball. This is one of the best products out there. If you have any issues with your knees and your calves and even I guess it helps a little bit for your Achilles, but elbows and stuff of that nature. It's a sleeve with kinesio tape built in. I see some people playing pickleball. They have their kinesio tape. It's peeling off their legs and doing stuff. I said, look, you can have the kinesio tape built into these sleeves, and they last forever, and they're really great product. So GoSleeves.com, folks. GoSleeves.com. Read up about it. The code is RB24. RB24. Small R, small B, 24. And you're putting it on there right now. RB24. Go check it out. GoSleeves.com. Then you can go to AlloMD.com and check all the products out there. Use the same code, the Ultra Repair X. I use it every single day. And then I have also Medicaleaf.com, MEDICILEAF.com, another cannabinoid product with the Platinum Pro Plus. The salve is unbelievable, 550 milligrams of a great combination of cannabinoids that I use all the time. Great products. Again, RB24 is the code for all of those. And, just give them a shot and try them. I hope they work for you as well as they do for me. I mean, I use them all the time. It's fabulous. I mean, especially not to be taking all those other stupid drugs. I used to take a prescription drug. I used to take Celebrex, and had another product, but they try to just keep yourself going well. Well, I love these products, so give them a shot, check them out, and hopefully they will work for you.
I hope so too. And again, if Rick Barry's endorsing it, at a bare minimum, you're getting an honest endorsement. He's telling you with this testimonial right now, this stuff works and makes life easier. Go check it out. And Rick, people can follow you on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. I want to see some pictures of your fishing trip, sir, if you don't mind. Your Instagram account is awesome, among many things. Did Canyon, by the way, did they announce whether or not he won the voting for the USA Men's Basketball 3-on-3 Player of the Year?
I don't know. We'll see. Maybe
Okay.
he did, because I think he has 2 records for the Olympics for 3x3. There's only been 2 times that they've been there, but 2 years that they played in the Olympics 3x3, that is, as a sport. And for the most points in any one game by a player, and the most points in 2 games in the same day, because a lot of times they play 2 games in one day. And he had 15 of the 21 and 14 of the 21 and played exceptionally well on those 2 wins. And it was just a shame that Jimmer Fredette, I feel so badly for him. My God, spend the whole year traveling around the world, being away from your family, helping the team qualify. He and Canyon were the 2 best 2-point shooters, because it's 3 points there, but 2-point shooters in the world. and then he gets hurt, and they wound up losing 3 games by 2 points. And just one of those wins would have got him into the medal round. So that was a sad thing.
Yeah.
But I just felt really bad for Jimmer Fredette. Really good guy. He and Canyon are good friends, and we'll see. I mean, he certainly is deserving because of what he was able to pull off there. And if it hadn't been for him, they wouldn't even have won any games there.
Right. Before we go, Rick, you're a coach for the Big Three here in the U.S.
Oh yeah, I'm excited. I'm going to be back. Cube is let me have there. I have a record that I want to get broken because my team has not made the playoffs. Again, I don't get to choose the players, and we have the captains do that. And we've come close, and we've always seemed to have some injuries. Leandro Barbosa, former Warrior, who's just a great guy who I love. Jody Meeks and some of my other players that are there. And it's tough. But with that starting up in June again, it's
well, Rick, the reason why I bring it up, because you're the head coach of the Ball Hogs, but I bring it up because the women's side of things has this new 3-on-3 league coming out. I think it's called Unrivaled. And I didn't realize this until just a day or so ago, and it blew my mind. It intrigued me. They play full court 3-on-3, but the court is 3/4 of the length of a full basketball court. Do you think that would improve the product? Like, let's say the Big Three did that. Like, I don't know. That tripped me out hearing that. What are your thoughts?
Strange. Well, they had to come up with something. I mean, it's 3-on-3. Whoever played 3-on-3 full court usually. I mean, 3-on-3 has always been the half court game you grew up with.
Right.
Interesting concept. Would be interesting
right.
to see. When are they going to play though? Because their regular league is during the summer when 3x3 is going on for the Big Three.
It's starting, I think, in a week or so, or 2 weeks. It's coming up soon.
Yeah, so it started. What?
The Unrivaled one. Yeah, because they're not going to.
It's going to be in the wintertime competing against regular basketball and college basketball. I don't know. It'd be interesting. I'll check it out, obviously, and see. We'll talk about it another time. But I had no idea what it was that they're playing full court.
I just learned that, and I suddenly, when I learned that, I'm like, what? And,
I don't understand.
But the more
that's crazy. I mean, you get a rebound to throw. I don't know. It's gonna be interesting to see what it looks like. To be honest with you.
And apparently, it's a 3/4 of the length of a full basketball court.
But it's still a lot of extra running. Like I tell you what I did do when I went to my first ever cricket match, and they have a league stuff. But it's not those 5-day marathons that they play and create. I had no idea. I finally understand the game. I think I could have been a great batsman in cricket. Okay, because it's eye-hand coordination and what they do. It was very intriguing. I really understand it, and I got to see a great performance by one of the national team players from Australia, Smith. And he scored 121 runs in the victory they had. He was responsible for 121 runs in the game. Think of that. It's crazy.
Is it entertaining? That's a part about it that loses me. Like,
very interesting. I enjoyed it. It was a great experience to do that with Alex and you, who are the two guys there. Just think of it. They called me out of the blue. Two very successful guys working for ad agencies in Australia got together as friends, decided to start their own agency. They reached out to me. The name of the agency, they asked me if I wanted to get involved and do it. It's the Rick Barry Ad Agency in Sydney, Australia. Of all things. It's crazy. So, and great people, great family. I really had a great time meeting them, and we did a little thing over there. Had an underhanded free throw contest doing it. Some young lady won, actually beat all the other guys. So that was kind of cool. So yeah, life is interesting, and so. The Rick Barry Ad Agency in Sydney, Australia, right?
And they named that after you, or is it just a coincidence?
Yes, because
Amazing.
They said we just love the way that you approach things, the way you
did.
Just thinking outside of the box, doing things differently. And so now we've become friends and working in the Rick Barry Ad Agency in Sydney, Australia. That's crazy. Anyway, life is good. There's a lot of other great things going on. I just looking forward to All-Star Weekend. I'm thrilled.
Are you going? I'm going to try to go.
No, I've been invited to go.
Good.
Yeah, the Warriors, the NBA, and the retired players. So there's gonna be a lot of things. I'll be busy doing a lot of things. Starting like on Wednesday of that week, and I'm looking forward to being out there and bringing my wife out there to enjoy that and seeing my son Scooter and his lovely wife Ruby and my newest granddaughter. Brooklyn. So I'll get to see them and Grant and Laura. I guess Lauren, my granddaughter, she'll be back at college at the she's back in college at she goes to University of Colorado in Boulder, and she actually got an internship, and she's doing stuff with the Denver Nuggets.
Bravo. Great school. My cousin's going there as well. Keon, what's up? And side note, you brought up internships.
One of his sons graduated from there.
Great school. Bravo. It is. And it's a beautiful city. My only critique is their downtown area for some reason is against dogs. I did not get that part of it, but awesome place otherwise. And side note, we're accepting interns. Email us at this address, warriors24pod@gmail.com. You have to get college credits, but we're accepting interns right now. Already got one slot filled, and you folks will definitely become familiar with them. And Rick Barry, one more time, you can follow him on all social media platforms at Rick24Barry. Welcome back to the United States, sir. It sounds like your travels were incredible. I'm looking forward to seeing the pictures and whatnot that you post on your Instagram account. Everyone can see them. Just follow Rick at Rick24Barry. Are we good? Anything else? Did we forget anything? I saw some conversation in the chat about Wiseman and Anthony Edwards. I promise I will touch on that next episode, but we've been going for like an hour plus. I need to let the Hall of Famer go. Any final thoughts?
Bye-bye. Nope. Final thoughts, just everybody. I hope 2025 is a great year for everyone. I'm looking forward to it as well. And if I don't talk to you, well, we'll talk again before the All-Star. So I'm around.
We'll talk every week. I mean, you got a sponsor now, Rick. You owe me a weekly visit, so I will hold you to that, and the audience will be rewarded because of that. We love your presence, sir. Thank you as always. That is the Hall of Famer Rick Barry, and we'll be back soon. Bye bye again.